Hello and welcome to another episode of Metal Effort. My name's Nehemiah, and today we're going to be looking at this piece of metal, the Massdrop and Bob Terzuola Compact Tactical Folder, or CTF for short. First thing we want to do is a size comparison. Here is our Spyderco PM2. Here is our Spyderco Para 3. And this is a precisely medium-sized, very EDC-able knife. We've got decent cutting length here, a little bit longer than the Para 3, a little bit shorter than the PM2. We'll do a quick measurement here. About 3.25 to the shoulder of the blade, about 3.12 in cutting edge length. Good, decent size. And I got this knife from Nick Shabazz on loan. This is not something I would normally seek out. So this will be an interesting review to see what I think of a knife that, normally just wouldn't speak to me. Let's get into the meat of it. We'll do a quick weigh-in. This is the CF version of the knife. The other versions on Massdrop are G10. The CF version is going to be another $25, but it is less weight. We're looking at 2.81. Which is very, very good. That's less than an ounce an inch, which is, worth tipping our hats to. That's great. That's really good. So let's do our official dent here, the decent, the excellent, the nitpicks, and the terrible of this piece of metal. In the decent, I want to talk about this flipper tab. So flipper tab is designed very well. It reminds me a lot of the Hound, the Booz Blade Hound. It's not quite as hidden as the Hound's is, but very, very close to it. So very much a light switch ordeal that we have going on. It's above the pivot here, so I can't really do a push. It just does not work if you try to push it. Gotta light switch it, but it works very, very well. There is some jimping right here that you could see. It grabs on. It's not very easy to fall off, and it works really, really well. And I want to transition that right into the action of the knife. The action on this blade is really, really good. This is made by We Knives from China, and you got premium parts inside this pivot. You have the ceramic ball bearing, ceramic detent ball, and as always, We is knocking this out of the park. The action is really, really good. And it's not just the open, because to me, I think there's three important parts to action that both contribute to, the desire to use the knife, but also just the fidget factor of the knife. That is the open, which, the parts you use in the pivot, the construction, the design matters, but also the detent. You don't want something too soft, too wet noodle. You don't want something too strong where it's like painful to do. This is precisely where it should be, the medium range. Detent's great, fires out, does not come out accidentally, and just dialed in action on the open. Now, the other two aspects to a good action is the fall shut. And this is not like guillotine where as soon as I get the ball, detent ball onto the tangent blade, it's not going to fall on its own. I do need to give it just one little jostle, but one jostle, not multiple jostles. Action is great on the close. Third and last piece on good action is the disengagement. Because if any one of these three things is bad or not good, then the whole fidget factor of it breaks down, and I don't want to mess with it. Because maybe it opens great, but then it disengages poorly. Then, I'm going to have to keep doing that over and over to do the whole, set of events over and over again. And I don't want to do it if this hurts my finger, or if, it's really frustrating to close it, if I have to shake it too many times or push it, or it wants to pop back into place too easily. So all three things need to be good. I'm happy to report that disengaging this knife is a pleasure. You have a large finger cutout right here. You got some jimping. It's very easy for me to come in horizontally and use a lot of thumb area to move that over instead of having to jab in the tip of my finger or something like that. Very easy, no lock stick. That process is very enjoyable, quick, and easy. And so our trinity of action aspects is good. We got good open, good disengagement, and good close. So really, this should have been in the excellent, but I didn't have a lot of things to talk about in the decent section, so I'm putting this here. So it's good. Could have been in the excellent. So take it for my words, not what section in the dent it's in. Another thing in the decent section I like is the clip. The clip is, very beautiful, for one. It's been anodized bronze. Hidden hardware on the clip. Can't see the screw. Just enough of a ramp that you can get in. It is like a 3D milled clip, and so there's not a lot of give to it. So if you had really thick pants or something, it might be kind of hard to get in there. Still, it works pretty well. It's not super deep carry, just the clip itself, and then it's positioned kind of low on the knife. But overall, the clip itself, just looking at, just the clip, I like it. There's no hot spots on the clip. I like the look of it, and I like the hidden hardware of it. Second thing, there's a lot of hidden hardware on this knife. You have the pivots, obviously, are here, and then there's no other screw visible on this side, and only one on this side. So once you take this scale off, it'll expose more screws. You can unscrew the clip once you get on to the other side of the knife. So that's classy. It's very nice. I like that. Something I want to point out. The balance on this knife is pretty good. I didn't get a chance to handle one of the G10 ones. I would assume it's not going to be too different, but the handle is pretty lightweight. The blade is pretty lightweight, and it does have pretty good balance. It feels like it's not trying to jump out of my hand, or it's too, butt in the trunk type of a situation. So I like that. The other thing I like is the CF. The CF is done really well. It's comfortable. It's machined well. No sharp edges or anything like that on the CF. I like it. Back spacer is pretty nice. It's just like some G10 in the back. Does the job. No complaints. So we've got S35VN on the blade, which is a decent steel, super steel. Don't really have too much to complain about. I think I like S30V a little bit better, but they're close enough to not matter. The liner on here, underneath the CF, is titanium. So that's contributing to, the low weight of this knife. Something that, is pretty high end on something that, only costs like $140 to $175. So I can point that out and highlight that as job well done. The fit and finish on this is pretty good. It's not like amazing, but overall centering is pretty much on point. The action, like I mentioned, is good, which means the fit and finish must be good in regards to, the machining all the parts and getting it put together well. Seams are pretty tight with the exception of this one. You have that little gap right there. Looks a little uneven on the CF. There's a little bit of a gap right there. Not a gap on this side, so I know they could do it. I'm sure they could. But, I'll point that out as a small nitpick. But other than that, if it wasn't for that line right there, this would probably be in my excellent, because everything else is really, really good. So let's get into the actual excellent of this knife. The value on this is good. This is a reoccurring theme with Massdrop knives that I've been reviewing lately. S35VN, ceramic ball bearing, ceramic detent ball, CF handle, titanium liners. This is all premium parts, and it's coming in at like $175 if you decide to spring for the CF, $140 if you get the G10. That's a pretty good value. It's hard to argue with that when you're looking at Benchmade that is having not the same parts, but is charging $200 at minimum for this style of a knife. So that's good. Good job, Massdrop. Good job, Good job, Bob. Now, this part is in the excellent. What is missing off this knife that would contribute to it being excellent? If you guessed the lanyard hole, you would be correct, because there's not a way to connect a lanyard to this knife. And I praise the knife for that. Good job. Way to just toughen up and stick it to the lanyard people here. Goodness, I can't imagine what kind of trauma you went through from the knife community by choosing not to have a lanyard hole on this knife. excellent. I don't use a lanyard hole, and so the lack of a random hole in the body of my knife for something that I would never use. Good job. Good job. Let's get into the nitpicks. First nitpick, this is right hand tip up only. So, sorry, lefties. I know you've been getting the bum end of the deal lately, but such is life, man. It's, the lanyard hole people, I feel like there's less of them than there are lefties, but they get catered to. So, if you're a lefty and you like lanyard holes, you could take solace in the fact that so many knives have lanyard holes. But if you're a lefty that likes lanyard holes, boy, is this knife not for you. But you might want to pass on this one, even if you're like a tactical mall ninja. This disc thing is not needed because you got this flipper tab that works great. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to use the flipper tab, other than you might be scaring people. But you could pinch this knife open really easily. And so I don't know if this thing, like, it's even kind of hard to, like, I can do it, guys. I'm not trying to ham it up. There we go. It works. I think it actually works better spider flicking that disc hole than it does trying to get your thumb there and get because, I don't know. You could remove it. Then you'd have this, like, giant notch taken out of your blade and a hole. So I don't know if that would, like, do it for you. But I don't like it. I don't think it needs to be there, and I think it's unnecessary. It's also in the cutting path, which is my next nitpick. Yeah, I mean, like, if you plunge into some foam or boxes or something, like, it's going to get in the way. Sorry. Sucks. But it's there. Next thing, the jimping kind of sucks. You only got 3 jimps. They're far apart. They're rounded. Your thumb doesn't even really want to land there. Kind of wants to sit back here or kind of on the blade, kind of slope down, which is weird. Either way, the jimping is not good. So yeah, I'll point that out. Next thing, the ergos on this knife are not good. Not like terrible. It's in my nitpick section, but you got this like arbitrary like hump right here, and it just it doesn't conduce your hand into a comfortable resting position. It's kind of bulbous right there, and it doesn't make sense from a design aesthetic of, like, imagine if this line was just right here. I think it would have made more sense, but it's not. It's just there, and it doesn't make sense. Your finger doesn't get to rest somewhere. And then, similar to the Hound, you've got this pivot section is just kind of bulbous. You can't really grip the knife this way. It's super uncomfortable. That's not a finger choil. You're kind of sliding onto the blade. So your hand is way back here, and you're just really far away from the blade, which feels awkward. You do not feel connected to this knife. You don't feel like you have good control of it. Very uncomfortable. Maybe your hand is different than my hand, and you're got one of the alien baby finger type hands, and it works on here. So I don't know. Could be in the terrible. If I'm judging it based on my hand, this would be terrible. But there's wiggle room of you having a weird shaped hand or me having a weird shaped hand. And so it's just a nitpick. Next thing, I don't like this fuller. This fuller is kind of like, I don't know if it's a blood groove or, I'm not a tactical person, guys. And so I am not well educated in what, a good tactical knife should be or how it should function or what the blade shape should be. But I don't know if this is more in the realm of like, hey, this is a gentleman's EDC and this is to pinch it open, because I don't want to flip it out and scare people. Okay, but I can pull it out right here just as easy without the fuller, like it comes out. And if this was just flat, I think it would be just as comfortable to grab it right here without a fuller. So I don't think I need it. I don't like it. Gunk is just going to get in there. Like, I don't take it off. I don't need it. The Massdrop logo is, gross. I think it's kind of silly if this is a tactical knife. And let's say, somebody attacks you and you pull it out and you successfully stab them. and then for whatever reason you leave the knife, or maybe the person is being stabbed and they pull it out and then they see Massdrop, and that's just like supposed to be insult to injury of like they're thinking in their head, man, I've just been stabbed. I was trying to rob this guy, but he had a knife and he's a mall ninja and he stabbed me, and it's a Massdrop knife with goofy lowercase like kid font. Wow. That's the moment when they start to reconsider their life choices. Not when they've been stabbed, but when they start to pull it out and they see that Massdrop symbol. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is meant to be like a way to combat criminal psychological behavior. I didn't grasp the true meaning of that until just now. I apologize. I'll move that to the decent section. Now let's get into the terrible. The terrible is this blade shape sucks. It's not good. So I gotta take the calipers. I don't normally do this, and I normally don't care that much to do this, but if we're gonna do like a little, how thick is this blade? So we're looking at, 1.127, okay? And then we take, like a Spyderco PM2, right? A little bit thicker, no doubt, a little bit thicker there at the spine of it. But the issue here is that I've got a lot more grind. This is a full height grind. So I'm looking at, 1.3 inches of height to get the acute behind the edge distance to something that's reasonable. The PM2 is a big beefy knife, but it still slices relatively well. But here, if we look at the grind height of this knife, then we only get like, I don't know, maybe a little over a half an inch of time to grind the behind the edge distance to something more reasonable, right? And so you're starting with just slightly thinner blade stock than the PM2, but you have like less than half the time to actually grind it down to something reasonable. And then what happens is you try to cut like an apple with this knife, and it feels like you have to baton it. This gets in the way, and then even after you frustratingly get through your stupid apple, you get a bunch of apple gunk in this fuller. So I get it. This is I guess I'm speculating here. I don't know this for sure, but this is meant to, stab and slice people, I guess. Make blood go out of their body is what the fuller is for. Maybe, I don't know why you want blood to come out of somebody's body, but I prefer to keep both my blood inside my body and people that I interact with. I want their blood inside their body, even if they are trying to mug me. I try to run away or just like give them my wallet, because I don't want to mess with their blood all over me or my knife or in my fuller. So I guess I'm missing the point. Somebody please explain to me in the comment section why I'm an idiot, and explain to me why this knife is a tactical genius who designed this, who knows more than I do. Because, little old me with my stupid little old brain, I think this knife not only slices better, but stabs better than this one. And I feel like stabbing and slicing are things that don't just apply to getting somebody's blood outside of their body, but also for stabbing apples, cutting open boxes, doing what I consider, silly old me, to be normal cutting tasks, EDC tasks of cutting apples and cheese and cardboard and bubble wrap and foam. I feel like the things that help this knife do those things would also be things that you would want a tactical knife to be able to do as well. So if I judge it as a tactical knife, I'm missing it. I don't understand, and it could be my ignorance. I don't know what I'm talking about here, maybe in the tactical world. But if I'm going to use it as an EDC knife to do normal stabbing and slicing things that a knife ought to do, in my opinion, then I don't think it really fits the bill, this blade shape. It's just kind of like, it doesn't stab, it doesn't cut, it doesn't do things, and then once you do frustratingly get it through whatever you're trying to do, you're gonna have a bunch of gunk in here and in here, and I don't know, guys. I tried really hard to like this knife, but in spite of the action being stellar, in spite of the value being really, really, really good, I can't recommend this knife to like a weirdo like me who wants to cut open boxes and tape and maybe food from time to time. Yeah, so that's my review of the compact tactical folder from Bob Terzuola and Massdrop. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you enjoy your day. Keep your blood inside your body, please.